Hello there. How are we all doing? This video is going to be kind of unique. I suppose that's obvious. This is the first that any of you have ever heard my voice. It may be a surprise to know that I'm not American. I'm actually Irish. This may cause a few issues, I suppose. It may be difficult to understand me in some points. I'll try and speak as clearly as I can, but no guarantees. So this is my tutorial video for how I make my Dragon Ball GT rips, and by extension any other Dragon Ball rips I suppose, but we're only going to be focusing on GT today. Sorry for any bad quality, especially in the audio. I've no microphone, unfortunately. I'm actually talking into my laptop. It's probably going to sound pretty bad, but again, sorry. I'd appreciate it if you can stay around till the end of the video, just because I have a few closing comments that I'd like to make about the channel, because I'm sure it's no secret now, but I'm going to be leaving pretty soon. I won't be going into too much detail here today, mainly because if I did, we'd be here I don't know how long. There's a lot of stuff that I know about making rips, and I just can't show it all in one video. You're going to have to do a lot of learning yourself, but I'm going to help you on the way, how to get started. So as you can see on screen now, there's 5 points here that I'm going to be splitting this video up into. These will all be timestamped for those that need it. Let's say you want to just watch the Menza part, it's there for you, just one click away. But I would recommend watching the entirety of the video the whole way through first, because there could be stuff I say in the Tokunaga part that will be relevant for the Menza part. And like I said, if you don't watch the Tokunaga part, you won't get that information. Okay, so let's begin with part 1, what you'll need. So the software. Now, none of the stuff that I'm going to recommend to you is going to be something you have to pay for. It'll all be free, and I'm just going to show you what I have, what I use. I'm sure there's other software that will work, but I'm just going to go with what I know. Okay then, let's begin. So the first thing you're going to need is something called Audacity. Now, if you don't know what this is or how it works, well, I'm not sure what you're even doing here, because this is the most basic thing that you're going to need to know how to use. I knew how to use this from up until a year before I even developed any of these methods that I'm going to show you here. You're just going to have to learn fast if you want to do this straight away. I don't know if you want to watch a tutorial or something, but for me, I'm entirely self-taught, so I just kind of have to learn it. So yeah. So if you want to download that, and by the way, I'm going to have all these download links in the descriptions for all of these sites, all these softwares. So you go to the official website, there'll be a download here. But most important, you have to install this. It's called FFmpeg. Now, what this is, it's an add-on that it's the only way that you can use files like AC3 and import videos and stuff like that into Audacity. You can't do it in the basic version because it's something, I don't know, it's some legal thing that just can't do that. I'm not entirely sure why, but we're going to be using AC3 a lot because given that I'm going to be showing you some GT stuff. That comes exclusively off of DVDs, which are AC3 audio. So you're going to have to install FFmpeg. Make sure you do this. There'll be a site here. There's a site linked here. Again, just follow the instructions. So next, something called ISSE. Now, after Audacity, this is by far the most important thing here. Why? Because I'll show you why. And also, first of all, this is what it stands for: Interactive Source Separation Editor. So this is how you manually remove soundtracks or sound effects and vocals from tracks. most of the work you're going to be doing involves this in some way or the other. Vast majority of the time you're going to spend making rips is going to be in this app. So yeah, download that. Again, the site will be linked. Should be easy to download. Doesn't take up much space. Right. Next thing is this thing called Spleeter. Spleeter GUI. Now this is something you can actually. This is actually what the user interface looks like right here. So what this does is it splits up tracks into different instruments using AI, and I'll show you why this is useful later on. But I'm a big fan of it. There's probably stuff now since I started using this that's probably better than this, but I haven't looked. I don't have the time for it. And it doesn't matter anymore. I'm not really going to be using it. So yeah, there's that. I should probably mention the fact I'm actually using an older version because at the time when I installed it on the computer, you were required to install this stuff called, there's this thing, I think it's called Python. Yeah, Python. You had to install that to your computer to get it to work, but it just would not work for me. Only the older versions would work. I think that the functionality to just install Spleeter on its own is the current version now, so maybe just get the current version. But if you want the older version that I use, there's actually an archive here I'm going to link to where you can download the version. It's version 2.8. This installer here will actually should work completely fine. It works fine on my computer anyway. But yeah, so that's Spleeter. Oh yeah, and here's the GitHub if you want that as well. So next thing is something called Ultimate Vocal Remover. Now what this is, it's actually just a basic vocal remover. Well, I think that's obvious. It just removes vocals. Again, it's AI, but because it's free and it works really well, I'm a massive fan of it. There's different settings you can use to tweak that will give you different results. It's overall fantastic software. Definitely get it. And the final thing is something called Mediainfo. Now this is completely optional, really. What this does is it tells you the bit rate of a certain audio file. So we're going to be working with ASC3 today. If you want to know what bitrate it is, it's not usually obvious straight away. I don't think if you go into the properties like this, if you go in here, I don't think you can see the bitrate manually. So this is what software like this is for. There's definitely other ones that are out there. This is just the one I chose, and again, it's optional. So there'll also be linked to download that as well. Be here. Okay, so next up, we're going to be learning the differences between Tokunaga and Menza audio. Okay, so before I do anything major, I just want to explain some key differences between the audio that we're using, because the Tokunaga score and the Menza score, they're not exactly the same on Funimation's DVDs, in particular the green bricks, which is what we're using here. You might wonder how I get this audio. This comes directly from the DVDs. You yourself may find this audio somewhere else, somewhere sketchy. I'm not going to say anything if you do, but again, it's up to you. But personally, I get this off of my DVD collection using a disk drive. Well, a portable one, since this is my laptop. But so there's that. So key differences. Well, something major is the fact that the Tokunaga score uses 5.1 audio, while the Menza uses 2.0 audio. The Tokunaga score is also a different bit rate to what the Menza is. It's actually 448 kilobits per second, while the Menza is 192 kilobits per second. And the way you can figure this out is by using software like what I just mentioned, which is Mediainfo. So we'll open this up. We'll insert this audio file. And by the way, this is from episode 35 of GT. That's what I'm going to be using today. That's why this video is here. So I'll open up this audio from episode 35. And you can see here, it says bitrate 448, channels 6. Now, I did say 5.1 audio a minute ago. This means 6 channels, even though you'd assume it was literally 5.1, but it's not. Don't make that mistake. It is 6 channels. Right, so Menza up next. And as you can see here, 192, 2 channels. Now, I'll explain when we get to it, but this will be very relevant when we actually start ripping stuff. Big difference is that, well, the Tokunaga one is much easier to use because most of the sound effects are removed already because of the center channel. While in the Menza, this option doesn't exist. All the sound effects, music, vocals, they're all on the same channel. So you have to do a lot more work to get that stuff clean, to be honest. And also the fact where normally let's say we're talking about Dragon Ball Z, like the Falconer score or whatever it is, you can use the center channel, the one with all the sound effects and vocals. You could then invert it with whatever score you're trying to get. Like say for Menza, you can invert that center channel from Tokunaga score with the Menza. If they were the same bit rate, this would probably remove most of the vocals in the Menza, but because they're different, it just doesn't really work at all. There's some cases where it might work in a limited capacity. You could try it if you want. I have before, but in general, it just won't work this way. Oh, and I should probably mention that for the TV special for A Hero's Legacy, it's a little bit different for that. They're actually, for both the Menza and the Tokunaga scores of that, they're actually both 5.1 audio, which, and also the same bitrate. They're both 448 kilobits per second. Very different to the original 64 GT episodes. I'll show why this is important more in the Menza section, but again, keep all of this stuff in mind. Okay, so this is the part of the video where I actually show you, well, why we're here. This is how you rip the music. Specifically, we're going to do Tokunaga first. I have episode 35 of GT uploaded in Audacity here, and I've chosen just one specific place, one specific sound effect that I want to show you how I go about removing. A funny story about it, actually, this is actually the first track right here. This is a Super Saiyan 4 theme. It's the first track that I ever really tried my method on, and it's basically my eureka moment came from this. This is how I figured out that there was something I could do with this. This is actually my favorite track across, well, not just GT, but the whole series, I suppose. So, and I'm going to show you, there's this one sound effect that used to annoy me so much, and it's the subject of why we're doing this today, really. We're going down memory lane, but this is the first thing that I ever wanted to remove and succeeded. So I'm just gonna give you a quick listen here. So if you heard that, that's the sound of a teardrop. If you watch the episode, you know where this is from. But I've always wanted to remove that because, like I said, this is my favorite track, and I've wanted to see this ripped clean for years and years, just for so long. So, and this sound, this part in particular, I just never liked it. I know a lot of other people I've spoken to online, they seem to they don't mind this sound effect. I think it's part of the track, but I wanted it gone. So I'm going to show you what I would do to remove that, and well, I already have before, but I'm just going to show you again. So I've gotten this section of video here, this part. We're going to export this, and we're going to open it up on ISSE. It's about 20 seconds. Never do something that's only like 5 seconds long. Like, never export something that long. It's going to be too short. You won't be able to see what you're doing. And never export something that's like, say, a minute long, because it would take forever for it to process in ISSE. You'll be there all day doing it. So only ever do something that's like 20-second bursts, or if you have to, like 30 seconds, but you should always be doing something smaller than that. So we're going to export this now. What are we going to call it? Well, just SSJ Oh, I have one here already. What a coincidence. We're going to call it that. You can call whatever file you export anything you want, but usually I would just call it something random. It's just, you just need a good memory to remember exactly where this is going and where it came from. So we'll call it that for now, just for the sake of the video. I replaced that file, it's an old one. It's not my first recording, I think you can tell. And so, we'll open this up in ISSE. Now, I'm not going to go into too much theory on what the hell we're looking at here, but there's tutorials online you can find. Just type in ISSE tutorial on YouTube, you'll see exactly what it is. I'm just going to show you exactly what I would do in my situation. This is the way I do it. So I know for a fact, I can tell visually already, this is that teardrop sound effect. It's the one thing in the track that doesn't look similar to the rest of it. And I'll show you the evidence, just give a listen. See? But, so our goal here is to try and remove that. And to do that, so I'm just going to draw around here because we don't want to remove any of this. This is all the music. Normally when you're using ISSE, again, the colors don't even matter. This is just my choice. You can use blue to remove it or red, doesn't matter. You would draw over what needs to be removed. But as you can see here, there's a lot of music that's kind of intertwined with this sound effect. See these lines here? Like they go straight across in like this. But we want to keep that, and if we draw over this with the red part, the AI will probably remove the music as well, and we don't want that. So there's a way, in particular, I know exactly, it works exactly for this sound effect here, and this is how I discovered the method. We can actually remove most of this without actually damaging any of the music. And to do that, we're going to get the hell out of ISSE. See you later, we'll come back to you later. And instead of using ISSE directly, we're going to use this, Spleeter. And there's a feature here, I've clicked on it here, where like you can split up all of the tracks into different segments, and that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to drag and drop this. Make sure that, I don't know if the settings have to be the same every time, but these are the settings I choose. Definitely don't ever click this recombine thing. Drop. I'm going to wait a minute. We'll open up a new file in Audacity, just prematurely. You can see that a folder's just popped up down here. All our tracks are going to end up in this. That means it's ready. So we'll open this up. And now what we're looking at here, well, this is what this means. So the track is pretty much, it's split up into these 5 sections. So you have the bass, you have drums, you have other, you have piano, and you have vocals. Now, most of the track you're going to hear is going to be trapped in this other part, and that's usually where sound effects in general end up. But I'll show you what I mean in a second here. So we're going to grab all 5 of them, drag them in here. Now take a look at this. So you can't see anything for bass because in this track in particular there's no bass, but in drums, there's a weird, I'm not sure what you call that, but it's just, there's no drums in this track, so you wouldn't think there'd be something popping up here. So what's this? We'll find out in a second. No piano, there's no piano in this track. I don't know why there's vocals here. There's no vocals in this track either, but again, that's something you edit out later on. So let's give a listen to the full thing. So the sound effect is here, but if we listen to just the drums, the sound effect has been pretty much mostly removed already by the AI that Spleeter uses. We'll listen to other. I say mostly, but not completely. There's some of it still in the other part. So you can probably guess what we're going to do here. We're going to edit each individual segment, well, individually, obviously. Now, why I do this is because you want to try and damage as little of the track as possible. And a good way to do that is to split it up already, so you can recombine it at the very end when you've removed all the sound effects. So normally for a track, let's say for Final Triumph. We're going to try that one, because that one has a lot of drums in it, so you'll see the drums for that one. So here's one I made already. This is Final Triumph. I'll just remind you what that sounds like. So that's what the unedited version of that track sounds like. But if we take it up in here, this is the Spleeter version. And we have this new window up here. Drag and drop. Now look, no vocals, no piano, others here. And look, drums and a tiny bit of bass. So we'll listen to that in the drums. Again, this is just an example, but editing the drums, in my opinion, is the hardest part to remove in ISSE because damage to the drums is kind of irreplaceable. You can remove maybe one line of the instruments here, and it won't make too much of a difference, but for drums, you can notice it straight away. So I'll just say for anybody editing a track that has drums in it, just be wary. Okay, we'll close out with that. Say goodbye to you. So I can go back in here. Here's our Super Saiyan 4 theme. So we're going to... So the thing with the drums here, so we know that there's no drums playing. So we can literally just delete this straight away. We don't need it. There's tiny bits of music, like you can see here. You want to keep that. It's only small, but I mean, it's harmless. We know for a fact there's no sound effects here to be removed. So we can keep everything there, but we're going to get rid of the drums. And to make sure you know exactly where the drums start, change the view from waveform to waveform decibel. And look, we can see exactly where the drum starts and begins, and we'll know straight away, well, I say drum, the sound effect, the teardrop sound effect. So look, listen. See? So look, we'll draw a line here. And again, I'm only doing this roughly. If you've any experience with Audacity, you can do a better job than what I'm doing here. This is just for the tutorial. So we'll remove that. Okay. So now we'll listen to the track again. Full thing. So we know for a fact that it's still present in the other section. So what we'll do is, rather than exporting it, we'll go into the folder directly. We'll grab this. You can see they're already WAV. Remember, we did that earlier. Oops. Full screen this. And then drag and drop this in here. You want to avoid exporting from Audacity as much as you can. Always use the file you export, and that's about it. Main reason being because if you keep exporting it over and over again, it will actually damage it, which is never good. So, like I said, try to avoid doing that, but sometimes it's impossible, but just avoid it if you can. Now, take a look here. You remember earlier on, this was a lot more congested when we were looking at it, the full track. But because Spleeter removed a lot of that, we're left over with most of the music intact and most of the sound effect already gone. And we can tell immediately, like, there's no music up here, because look, the music only goes as far as here. Far as this, about where the cursor is. So we can actually just remove that. And we're going to do that. I'll just, hold on. So it starts about here. We'll keep everything to the left of this line and everything here. We can keep everything here as well because we know that's part of the track. So we'll remove that. Now there's still some of it down here, unfortunately, but we can, again, I'll draw that out. I'll come back in a minute and do it. But before I do that, I'd just like to say, whenever you're editing a track, doesn't matter what track it is, you want to keep these bottom layers whenever you can, because if you remove that, it sounds pretty bad. I'm just going to say it now. Most of the time, sound effects aren't down here, but if it's vocals, I find a lot of the time that vocals, you find them down in these lines here. It's hard to remove them if you can't see them. But I'll I'll just let you know that try to avoid removing these bottom lines especially. It's okay to lose maybe one or two of these, but again, these bottom ones, never lose these. They're crucial. Okay, so I'll come back in a minute when I've drawn all of this out. And we're back. So, what exactly did I do? Well, this, I'll explain what this is in a minute, but we're just going to hit this button up here, process. Now, why do we give it a listen? And here's the original. Not bad, is it? Unfortunately, though, there's still a bit left. But let's listen to just the sound effect on its own. There's still some music down here, and again, with more time, you could probably edit this back into the other part, the part you need. But I'm not here to do that right now. There's also a bit of a sound effect you can hear here. Well, I don't know how you remove that. More time, I guess. But for the sake of the video, I think you get the gist of it, right? So I'll explain just a little bit what exactly I did here anyway. So all these red lines, as you can see, they're in between the main notes, like all the yellow parts. I'll just remove this for a second just so you can see. See all the yellow parts? These are things that you actually need. This is the actual music. The bits in between are, I wouldn't say necessary, but you kind of need them, you kind of don't. It depends how much of it you remove. If you remove most of that, the music won't sound too great, but you can do it just removing a bit of it. It's just to get rid of the sound effect. You'll have to draw over it, and the AI will probably remove that part, but that's all, you have to do it. So yeah, always put the red line in between the notes. It's just how it works, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. This is just the way I do it. And don't just draw blue everywhere. Just don't do that, because you need the AI to figure out what's not needed, what is needed. And drawing over parts that say connect, like we know for a fact that this is a sound effect. I've deliberately not colored in blue anywhere there because I don't want the AI to think that I want to keep this. So the parts where there isn't music, I've put in red, or bits that aren't necessary in red. And so yeah, the AI, it figures out that it doesn't want this part, and then that's how we end up with this and this. So that's pretty much how ISSE works. I know I didn't actually explain anything, I just showed you, but again, this is the basics. Like, you'll figure this out just by doing it yourself. That's all I can say. So yeah, there's nothing really new here that I'm going to show you from the next part of the video. We're just going to be doing Menza. Again, what you see here in ISSE will be relevant to that. It's slightly different for Menza, but so yeah, that's how you do Tokunaga tracks. We're going to export this now first. Put on the desktop just so it's easier to see. Now you can see here, there's 3 files we ended up with: original, source 1, and source 2. These are the 3 sources we can see here. So look, this is the original, this is source 1, and this is source 2. We're only interested in keeping source 1, but there's some stuff here left over in source 2 that we want to recombine with source 1. So we'll open up a new Audacity page, like so. We'll get source 1 and source 2, combine them both here. Now we know we don't want the sound effects, so we're going to, again, change the waveform, remove that, silence it, or delete it, doesn't really matter. And then we'll recombine the 2 of these back together, because we know there's no sound effects for these bottom parts. So we'll get this, copy it, Control C, and then we'll put it back in here. remember, these are the Spleeter, the original 5 that we had. So we'll pop it in here. We'll mute this one because it's no longer needed. This is the old one with the sound effect. Now give it a listen. Needs a bit of work, but you can understand the theory of it anyway. That's how I do it. So then at the very end, you get rid of everything that you don't need. So we don't need this. And then you press Control A, that selects everything. Mix and render. And then either export it or, actually no, don't export it, copy it. And then we'll recombine it back here. So this is the original file that we exported the first time. So we'll just, hold on, zoom out. Move it along over here. And you see, the reason we duplicated this the first time around, why is that frozen? Oh, never mind. So I was saying, the first time, the reason we duplicated this is because we can easily just slot this new track back in. So we just go like this, and look, it sticks onto it. And so yeah, what you do then is you trim it. There's actually, if you zoom in here, this is the side of it in Spleeter. You just get this unwanted kind of clipping sound. So we won't merge it back into this track directly from the end, but we'll do something like this. I'll just show you. So we'll highlight that. Trim. Get rid of this. We no longer need it. And then remove special, split cut. And then now give it a listen. Not sure why you can hear a clipping sound there. Might be out of sync or something, but normally you wouldn't hear any. It would just flow in seamlessly. You could just slot your new track back in like that very easily. And so that's what you do if you're just editing this part. If you want to edit maybe the Uzaru or the Super Saiyan part, you do the separate part here, reconnect it somehow. But so yeah, and then you just export. I'd always do WAV for the official files just because you maintain that quality. But so yeah, that's the Tokunaga stuff done with. I hope you learned something. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is how the track should sound if you've actually done all the work like I did before. It's quite nice. Okay, so as you can see here, I've uploaded one of the Menza tracks. Again, it's episode 35. Now, his music is a lot more harder to rip than Tokunaga's for a multitude of reasons. I'm sure you can see already. There's only 2 channels available for the Funimation music rather than the 5.1 available for the Japanese. I don't know exactly why that is, but it just makes it a lot harder to do. So it basically means that all the vocals, sound effects, they're all mixed in with the music, unlike previously. With the Tokunaga, you had most of that was removed because it was on the center channel. With this, there is no center channel. It's just these 2, everything, all the sounds combined into one. So this basically means that, well, obviously there's a lot more work. I'll just say that. So this is the music for the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. It's the exact parallel to the Super Saiyan 4 team from before. It's the same scene. I thought we'd just do it. We'd try this one because, again, it's another one I've already done before, and it's the exact same audio we're pretty much listening to, just bar the music. So yeah, let's export something. So he did it. We'll do this part. This is a fan favorite. So there's a lot of vocals here. Actually, first we'll up the volume a little bit first. Yeah, that should do. So we'll export that. Export selected audio. Again, WAV, because we'll be using ISSE. Or not, actually, since it is only vocals. But usually you'd be using ISSE again. And we'll just duplicate that just for later on. Okay, so we've got this Menza score file here. Again, rename this to whatever you want. I don't really care at this point. Again, I know what it is. You just need good memory. That's all I'll say. So because it's filled with vocals, what we do is we'd use a vocal remover. Again, could be any choice you want. You can just use the basic Spleeter. You can just use this option. There's two options. It's only vocals and the music on its own. That's one way you could do it. But today I'm just gonna try Ultimate Vocal Remover because, like I said earlier on, it's a very good app. Well, I say that the only downside is it takes forever to bloody load. Come on. Okay. So these are the options that I have selected. This is my preferred option. You might have a different one. There's tutorials for this app as well, the software on YouTube. Pick whatever way you want to, just whatever way you like it. You can experiment with it. I only want the instrumentals, so I'm just going to import this in here. So there we go. And we'll make the desktop the output. And then we click Start Process. Now this will take a few minutes to register, so I'll see you then. And we're back. So that took about 2 minutes. It's reasonable for a clip that was only a few seconds long. And so they end up in this folder here. So there's two files because of the option that I chose. We're going to have a listen to both of them. Two different AIs. And the second. So you can see that in both scenarios there's still some vocals left over. In the first one there was kind of like this metallic sound, and in the second, I don't know, just there's a lot more vocals in that one, but it's hit or miss the results that you get with this software. So what I usually do when there's stuff left over, straight into ISSE. So we'll try the first one. Give it a listen. See that? This line here is one of the vocals. I believe that's Elder Kai jumping up in the air or something, or not too sure what that is. But so we can pretty much tell right away what needs to be removed. So if we were to remove just this one, we do the usual blue line everywhere. All the way to the end because we want to keep all that. And then what you do is you just like draw a square, red square, I don't know, something like that. Again, I've shown you this already. It's the same as the Tokunaga stuff. The only difference between the Menza and Tokunaga, like I said, just you're going to have more vocals, more sound effects, and it's probably going to be. Actually, I'll show you this. We'll leave that. So we go back into this file here. We'll go back to the start of the track. A lot of loud sound effects there and vocals. So what we're going to export that, have a look at it in ISSE. Oh, that's not what we want. I'm going to select this. Wrong button. Now, so we'll close this off. Don't need any more of this. Now, this is exactly what makes ripping Menza music harder than the regular Tokunaga. There's a lot to take in here. Look, we'll just give it a listen. Now, if we zoom in, we can see that this is all music, but look, where's the music here? We can't even see it. You can see a bit of it down the bottom, but this is what I would call, how would you say, a very bad case. We'll just put it that way. Generally, with the Menza stuff, if there's loud stuff like this, we've no music for the AI to register. Like normally we would just like select these lines. Hold on. We'd select lines like that, but we can't actually see it. So we can't give the AI a reference point. And that's why in the past, when people have asked, if there's ever a Menza track where it's too loud, I can't really do it, and I don't think anybody can. Unless there's some software available that does sound effects and loud stuff like this, I just don't know what to do with it. This is actually a rare case where I actually found a solution for this. I think I used Spleeter. You can try using Spleeter yourself for stuff like that. I don't know how well that will work. I'll show you what I ended up with. I already uploaded it. Even today, I'm still mystified as to how I even made that. Like, that just it defies belief. So keep in mind, loud sound effects, loud vocals, you can't really do anything about it, unfortunately. And that's why the Menza is so much harder to rip. You don't tend to see this a lot in the Tokunaga stuff, but here, like, I mean, it's a lost cause, pretty much. So, I'll give you that. But other than that, it was just something quieter or more similar to Tokunaga. The methods are very similar between the scores. You can apply this method to any type of Dragon Ball stuff, really, to be honest. But this is just how I do it anyway. ISSE, Spleeter, UVR, all that stuff. Right. So before I finish off the Menza stuff, I thought I'd just let you know about this little trick. The TV special, I said it earlier on, but it has some unique characteristics. I'll prove that to you right now. So I said earlier that these are actually in 5.1 audio, both the Menza and the Tokunaga, and they've got the same bitrate. And there's a few neat tricks that is actually the result of this. So first of all, you can use the inversion technique on either the front channels or the rear channels, and it will actually cancel most of the stuff out. So let's listen to the original. This is the Menza.
Fight me for it, chump? Yeah, come on, you little dweeb. We know you've been training with pain. Let's see what you got.
Well, I wouldn't call it training. It's more like exercise.
So you can hear the Menza track, and there's a bit of vocals here. And here's the Tokunaga.
Come on, you little dweeb. We know you've been training with pain. Let's see what you got.
Well, I wouldn't call it.
So again, more vocals, but no music, which is important because if we invert it, there's no Tokunaga music here, and so bear that in mind.
For it, chump? Yeah, come on, you little.
So would you look at that? Most of the vocals are gone, and I only clicked a couple of buttons. Now this only works, like I said, just happened to be no music playing in the Tokunaga version. If there's music playing here and you invert it, you'll just hear overlapping music, both Menza and Tokunaga, which isn't good. But this is a method that I actually used in this video. This one. I probably would not have made this video if I didn't find this meta, to be honest. It was a huge help. Reduces the work you have to do a huge amount. So if anybody wants to do any Heroes Legacy rips, I'd actually recommend starting with that. It's by far the easiest of the entire GT track or soundtrack. So give that a go if you want. I'll just prove to you that it works for the rear channels as well. I'll just show that too.
You just let him walk off with your rocket pen? Goku Jr., what were you thinking?
I can buy another one.
But it was yours. Why didn't you tell him to give it back?
There were 3 of them, Grandma.
Okay, that's inverted. Now let's listen. So yeah, pretty neat, right? So that's about it for the Menza stuff, and well, this tutorial in general, really. So yeah, that's it. It's the end. Hope this tutorial was of some use to you. It was very rushed, but I think I got my point across. Again, sorry for any bad quality. And remember, practice makes perfect. Get that phrase stuck in your head, because that's the only way you're going to learn. There's so much more that I could have said, but you'll have to discover that on your own. Perseverance is the key. At least this video will serve as a guide. And yeah, I'd just like to say, please stay tuned for next Monday, the 3rd of April. It's my 3-year anniversary, and I'm going to be uploading a special video to mark the occasion. This is also going to be my final ever video, and it'll be something different, something personal. I'd like to say thank you everyone that put up with me over the years, every viewer, every subscriber, the people I looked up to, all of you. So I'll see you all next week for the last time.